I could tell you a whimsical tale that's probably very inaccurate. The Sensible Sociopath.
2, 3, 1, go.
Roma, the podcast is here!
It really never gets old.
Sorry about those jokes I said earlier about babies with both sets of genitals.
What does that even mean?
You know, I'm willing to risk my life for this podcast, Roma.
Ugh, that sounds insane.
And I'm also willing to risk your life for this podcast.
There's a difference between, like, uncomfortable and creepy.
Anyways, that's why I think pedophilia is just a sexuality like any other.
It was kind of traumatizing.
White people are bad and do bad things.
Periods are not just for women.
Take off their underwear and relax with their uncle.
How fast can I eat your ass?
I mean, you know, you look at me and you go, this is an international man.
My whole life is a sham.
And you can't get the white Oreos. That's racist.
I think I counted like 25 racially charged jokes.
White privilege allows me to turn off someone's headlights.
I was just being agreeable.
Roma, when was the last time you were agreeable?
It's been days.
Also, if you try to poop really hard, sometimes you'll come.
You would think that we'd have our shit together.
It's the enema for your face.
Yeah, I was gonna say cleanings for women.
Not a lady, Roma.
Oh, this is so gay.
Let's try to be inclusive, Roma.
What does that even mean?
Real mature, Roma. Oh my geez, Roma. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 58?
I think it's 57.
Roma, it's 58.
It's 58.
Happy 58, everyone. So we're here today, and we have some special guests. A couple of friends of ours, John and Steve.
Hi, world.
Yeah, what's going on?
Both here previously on other occasions.
Mm-hmm.
In worse times, you know, because we're fairly woke gentlemen, so that's nice. I'm really feeling like we're making some movement.
Yeah,
and we're here to tell you guys all about everything you've been doing wrong. So welcome to the show. We have Roma, our in-studio producer.
Hi, guys.
Always great. Always great on air and behind the scenes. Please check us out. Hit subscribe, hit that like button, and then share it with a friend, because it's really just a button or two push away, and you don't even have to stop listening to the podcast.
Yep, true.
You could share it with someone, perhaps an influencer friend of yours.
And if you're dissatisfied, you'll get your money back.
That is true. All of it.
Yep.
Every red hot cent. And you can check us out if you're listening on the audio podcast. Please subscribe, share that with your friends. And we're on Twitter and Instagram, and just look for the Sensible Sociopath. So, gents, how's life?
Dude.
Holy shit.
Dude.
Good?
Dude. It's like, what is, I don't look, I fancy myself someone that knows what's going on, like, and, like, pretty hip to the game, but even, like, I tell you who deserves, like, a Lifetime Achievement Award. The Illuminati overlords, because I have no idea what is happening right now. It's like they're out of plays, and they're just like, no, we're gonna run all trick plays from here on out. Like, they know everything else that we're gonna do, and so it's like, what is gonna happen next? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bilderberg's been working overtime.
Yeah, and apparently they didn't even meet this last year, or like meet because of the virus.
I think they created the virus,
yeah.
So I'm pretty sure, you know. You don't think they had a dinner at Sizzler or something?
Oh, they'll probably over Zoom, dude.
Rent out a back room?
Just drinking baby blood and, over Zoom and coming up with the next year's plans, I'm sure.
Trying to divide up Epstein's estate between them.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, those
if
kids...
you think he's dead.
Well, that's true, too. But I was going to say, those kids age out after a while. You gotta get them while they're fresh.
Lord.
Jeez.
Lord.
What?
18 minimum.
Yeah.
Well, not on my island.
No, seriously,
We do not endorse any illegal activity or human trafficking.
Definitely not.
Because older guys are better.
Oh, Lord. Look, I just, I was trying to piece together, like, the timeline in my head the other day of, like, just what 2020 has done, right? So we came out swinging, right? Almost World War III.
Yeah.
But then the Orange Lizard de-escalates it live on Twitter.
It's true.
Which was impressive.
Pretty impressive.
It's all about the negotiation.
Right.
I don't know if you've read the book Art of the Negotiation.
I have not read his book.
Oh,
it's probably in all lizard language. I don't probably understand it.
I mean, it's all about freedom.
Right.
That's really what it is, and power.
Yeah. So you had that, right? And then Australia like burns to the down back into the ocean, like right. And then Kobe Bryant dies, and like I'm like that's a mile marker.
Is that really the same as?
I think it's the same as Australia burning down. That guy was something.
Most people would choose Kobe over Australia. If they
You
had
could have Black Mamba.
I just
or
want to
you could have-
apologize to our Australian audience on Anchor. So just gonna.
Yeah.
Hey, big
Pander.
Crocodile Dundee fan here.
That's right. I'm a Crocodile Dundee 2 kind of guy. I'm a Colin Quinn fan.
No,
Yeah.
Look at that.
Well, you know.
So you
But
had
yeah.
that, right? So, and then like we got Killer Virus. Like,
Well, what about Killer Hornets?
yeah, that's coming.
That was later.
Oh, we haven't gotten there
sorry.
yet.
This is the timeline stuff.
Right, and then, so
Yeah.
then you had the Killer
It's
Virus,
linear.
and then in Our Neck of the Woods you had the earthquake that hasn't happened for like 30 or 40 years, and then you have after the earthquake I think it was the Murder Hornets, and then the Pentagon was like, hey, by the way, those videos from 2017 those are real, and
The
go back-
alien ones you're
Aliens
speaking
is
of.
what-
Yep, go back to your virus.
Yeah.
So they dropped that in there, right?
Yeah.
A huge asteroid missed us towards the end of April, like
Okay.
a big one missed us, and so and then the Murder Hornets, and then rioting, and then there's a new country.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's where we're at, and I'm like, dude, what?
We have a new country within the country, much like, you know,
What,
Liechtenstein?
DC
No,
maybe?
Or the Vatican?
like it's
Yeah.
like the Vatican.
Yeah.
That's what it's
Very weird, like very, very weird.
Well, and look, I'm all for people playing pretend and putting up, their pillow forts and and pretending to take it, especially in the most like liberal of cities where you absolutely will have no resistance to you. I don't really see it as that great of that brave of a step. And of course, it has nothing to do with the Black Lives Movement matter or George Floyd or any of that stuff. It's just people wanting to set up their basically a farmer's market. I think is what they're going for.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it is, they're all for we're anti-fascists and all that stuff because of course Antifa is a lot. I think has a lot to do with it. And that what is it? John Brown Gun Club or something. They're the people in Seattle with guns that are like super leftists, and so they're the ones that showed up with the semi-automatic.
Okay, that
rifles.
fills in the blank for me because I was like, how would they know or think of where to get like an AK or an AR? But that makes sense. I was like, where did they get that? That's interesting.
And they have open carry laws there. They have nothing that they did is illegal. I mean, I guess if you're taking over people's buildings, but really they're using tactics that basically, hey, we're taking over this area. Don't you support us? And so, of course, they're going to be like, yeah, like as people are burning down buildings, just a few little ways back.
It's very mob-like,
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So
like old mobster style.
So all these leftists that are like, oh, don't no, all the immigrants can come in, but no, we're gonna set up barbed wire barricades around our stuff, and then we're gonna have or semi-automatic weapons
Walls
to
don't
defend
work, didn't you know?
ourselves against the police.
Yeah.
It's like, do you really think the police are trying to kill you? They're probably just trying to get their goddamn precinct back that they were dumb enough to walk out on.
Yeah, I just found out about all this last night.
Okay.
And I saw that the first thing they did was build a wall, and I just
Build
scream
that
laughed
wall, yeah.
for like 20 minutes because I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, like you've been yelling for like 3.5 years about like how bad we should have borders,
Yep.
and the first thing you did
Walls
in
don't
your new-
work.
in your new utopia is you built a wall,
And
I'm
then
like,
built it stronger.
the cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. The irony of it.
And the irony is
Yeah.
just like, I mean, you could do a sketch group could pick that up and just recreate the events, and it would kill.
You would have to do nothing, though. That's the funny part, is there is no hyperbole to any of it. You just do what they did,
Literally
and then people
do it.
are like, I get it. Ah, ha, ha, ha,
Yeah,
ha.
you could literally perform it as is,
Right?
on Saturday Night Live, and it would destroy.
Yeah, you're like, oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the news. We were, the real news. We were actually just
Whatever.
covering the story literally. People are like, what? This isn't a skit show,
Yeah.
This isn't Mad TV?
I just
Well, and they got the the ex-rapper leader
Raz
Raz.
with two Z's. I'm a fan of Blue Raz more, but the blow
Right.
pop.
But that guy, and I don't know him personally, but in general, when you see him and he's like a cartoon. It's hilarious.
Seems like a cool dude.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's like he's quite a character.
Yeah.
It's like this is like made for. This is like a made for TV movie. Like it's just. It's great. It's amazing.
So he's a warlord, basically. And he came in, and I guess he's with the armed guys or something, or somehow organized it or what. I don't know.
And
Somehow
he's
he ended
huge.
up at the top, and probably just his size.
Yeah.
So really, it's like barbarism. It's like, oh, the biggest guy's in charge. It's like
Right.
the Vikings or something.
Well, he's like the end boss on Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what he's like.
yeah. So he always wears an open shirt, I would assume.
Right.
But what he has done is, so he told these they extorted all these businesses around him because there's no money. Money doesn't exist in this
I was gonna
place.
say, like,
Oh,
how
I
are
didn't
they-
know that.
So would they extort bagels?
Well, no, $500 each.
Oh,
Yeah.
so there is money.
So no. You can't exchange it between people there.
But we can just take it.
No, we'll take it from you, and then we'll go buy goods with it. Yeah.
This sounds like an
Great.
amazing system.
Yeah, totally. So all of these poor business owners and there's like 500 people that live in this area, and so they can't shut off the electricity because people are like, oh, just shut off the electricity, you'll be fine. It's like, well, there's people that would be victims of these people taking it over.
So this isn't like empty because I haven't read too much about this. I got to the wall thing, and seriously, I've been laughing about it for like the last 24 hours.
All that John knows about is the wall. He actually doesn't even know what this whole
I
story
just-
is yet.
I don't understand. So that there are actual people that have apartments, residences, and stuff, and
Well, it's
they're
six.
trapped in there.
It's 6 square city blocks.
Yeah,
It's
6 or
huge.
7.
Can they
something like
leave?
that, yeah.
Will they let them out?
Yeah.
But you have to go through a checkpoint, and they have to
Where they
search
check
you
ID.
and check your exactly. Yeah, we need to see your ID. You can't vote
Right.
without an ID.
So
Yeah, you could be a cop.
Like, I mean, without even commenting on the obvious correlation there, it's just hypocritical. No matter what
Yeah.
side
Oh,
you
yeah.
stand on, any fair-minded person would have to look at these things and
Yes.
go, this is pretty hypocritical.
Yeah, you do not see this as some kind of an ecosystem. So basically, they're creating their ideal of a really, it's like a communist republic. And the funny thing is how quickly their I guess dream state goes into reality state, where you have armed guards, you have walls, you have control over in and out.
Extortion.
right, so that's all
yes.
inside of an hour, probably.
Pretty
you know
much.
what I mean? It's just
pretty
like
much.
and that's the thing. Like at what point do we go? Are they all just whoever they are? Are they all just messing with us at this point? You know what I mean? Like it's just like, are they just seeing, like how much they can like dump on the public, on the world, like to just see like how docile, how like fluorided
Yeah.
over are
We're
they?
talking
all
about
really?
the Illuminati again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what they can get away with. Yeah. No. Well, I think it's Antifa, basically people that want communism and not capitalism.
They
and
just
the funny
want things
thing-
to burn.
Yes, they want to
Yeah.
watch it burn.
Well, I mean, their list of demands is 2/3 free stuff. That's
yeah.
They have like 19 items, and like 15 of them are we want shit for free.
Yeah. Totally.
That literally.
Yeah.
We want debts erased. We want free college. We want free housing. We want, I mean, just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And
So,
which is
to
communism.
your point of communism.
Yeah, absolutely. And and break down all the systems, all the court systems and all that stuff.
Right. There
all
was
the things that can give you
mentions of-
freedom.
Yeah.
You
No
know.
mentions of the origins of this movement at all in their demands.
No, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, and I think that's the issue with things like Antifa is that they are not organized. They don't have any leadership. It's like, no, you literally absolutely do, but they're using all the tactics that people have learned so that you can't, it's harder to pin down a terrorist organization when you don't have Osama bin Laden sitting at the top or whenever, that when there's not a hierarchy. There absolutely is, because all you got to do is follow the money. And you see how every, Soros and Clinton Foundation and all that stuff sitting at the top, and all the people they exploit down at the bottom.
I wonder how Raz installed himself as the,
Supreme leader.
Osama of sorts.
Was that like an organic
I wonder
thing?
if he came in, or if he was just like, here I am, I'm huge, and
Yeah.
I've got a gun.
Absolutely.
And everyone was like,
Sounds good.
okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's all he did, is
Yeah.
walk up there and go, yeah, I'm in charge here.
Pretty- I think
look,
pretty
I can
much.
communicate with people because I have an Instagram that has probably a good amount of followers. Because he was already a political activist,
Oh, okay.
and a rapper, and he's kind of like Killer Mike or something from Atlanta or something. I think he's kind of one of those sorts.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's whack. I just like the thought that like I can't. One thing I can't wrap my mind around is like the fact that like a local government is just like no, that's cool.
Yeah,
Like that's cool. Just go. And then again, the mayor was like, oh, it's like it's not like it's not what you think. It's like just like a block party or something. That's what they're doing.
well, they said
And
it was
the
a
governor
trust
didn't even know.
exercise.
The governor didn't even know. He was like, when he's questioned, he was like, I've never heard of that. And I'm
That's
like,
such bull crap.
yeah, I'm like, you didn't know?
Literally, Antifa has taken over 6 square city blocks in the heart of downtown Seattle. Kicked the police took days to move out of their precinct
Yeah, okay.
and boarded up. Days
Jeez.
and days.
Well, they had a lot of
And he
house
said he didn't
plants.
know anything about it. They had what?
They had a lot of house plants. They had to,
Yeah.
you know.
One thing I
Can't
can't
carry.
get my mind around too is like if any other group did this, like let's just say like the Ammon Bundy and like all them guys
Yeah,
were to do, I mean they did that at a wildlife refuge and they got surrounded by the feds and like just
instantly.
tons of guns and like there was no even people really in there, but these people literally have almost like hostages,
Yeah.
like of the residents. They're just like, I just want to go to
Absolutely.
work. I wish they would turn everything back on. And now I'm stuck in the middle of all this, and they're tagging my neighborhood and destroying everything. And it was funny because one of my buddies a couple days ago I was talking to him, and I said something about just like how there are these infiltrators that are ruining the protests, like from
oh yeah,
probably like black ops groups and Antifa and the white supremacist people and whoever is doing all this stuff. And he was like, well, Antifa stands for anti-fascist. You know that, right? And I was like, yeah, but they act like fascists. And he was like, and I was like,
they suppress any opinions.
yeah,
besides
they
their
wear
own.
masks, carry weapons, and if you say something they don't agree with, they hurt you.
yeah.
Like
Right.
what? I believe me, I know who they are.
Yeah.
Like-
In what world is that anti-fascism?
Yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, it's not the textbook definition of fascism, but boy, it's a big part.
Pull up the definition of fascism, Roma.
All right.
But
Let's
yeah,
watch
I was talking, and he was just like, "This is." I mean, like he was saying, like it was a good thing, and I was like, "Have you watched like Antifa in action, like on some of these videos? I mean, they're insane.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like attacking, like they attacked Andy No like all those months ago.
Yeah.
Like this guy's a gay independent journalist, and like I mean, they nearly killed this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I just like it's if you have to wear a mask and carry a weapon, there's something wrong with your message.
Yeah.
I can read it from here. Forcibly suppressing opposition and criticism.
Mm-hmm. Regimenting.
And then it
all
goes into
industry.
regimenting industry, commerce. Hey, that's what they did. They went and took money from people. They got in charge of the commerce real fast.
Yeah.
Emphasizing an aggressive nationalism.
Yeah.
And also often racism, which I mean, this has turned into a big racial issue.
Sure has.
Yeah.
I don't think it has.
I just want to be for it. I am not a racist.
Well, I just want to show everyone the.
What is it?
It's my body wash.
Oh, well, then you're probably good.
Yeah.
Black power.
I'll just explain to someone if they ever accuse me of anything. Like, no, it's cool, bro. It's got shea
Where
butter in
in
it.
the world did you even get that?
That looks like a dollar store product
Down
to
at the
me.
local Antifa market.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I got it at one of those places you get all the weird stuff, like Tuesday Morning, Ross. Like, it just they have all the weird. I don't know. I like going in there because you find stuff that you can't find anywhere else.
Rando stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always just go there looking for knickknacks and paintings, lovely paintings, because I'm an art collector.
From
I think it's
Tuesday
like,
morning.
So what is the future of CHAZ? Like I was thinking, like, well, what are they gonna do? Like they've got this like country within a country now that they formed. Like, are they gonna expand? Is that gonna be considered an invasion? Like, what are
Well-
they gonna do? Like, because they don't have any food, right? I saw that they're ordering. It's like I hate capitalism, but they're like ordering pizza and stuff. I'm like, I don't.
Vegan pizza.
Oh, okay. Well,
So the funny thing is that the way it started is I think they started a GoFundMe, and I think a lot of people were giving money to it. There was definitely this other place that was like a hotel, and I think that was in Minnesota. They took it over. They said, "Oh, the guy gave it to us. He because he believes in the cause. So we're anyways. Basically, he's just like, please don't burn down my hotel."
That's what that sounds like. No, like, it's yours. Sure.
Yeah. So he ended up giving them all the key cards, and then when they left, he disabled the key cards.
Yeah.
So they were all just locked out, which is awesome. So good for that guy. So it turns out he didn't give them the hotel. So this was in Minnesota or whatever. Oh, and those people on their GoFundMe got like about $150,000. Now some conservative.
Yeah, but who did that go
causes-
to?
Well, who knows? Yeah, that's somebody got a good paycheck out of it, I'm
Right.
sure. So the people in Seattle, I think they were doing similar things, and of course GoFundMe doesn't find any problems with that, but they'll find problems with conservative.
When they shut down Candace Owens
Yep.
in a few hours.
Yeah, because I mean the guy got a certain good amount of cash, but
was
I can't remember what it was
200,000.
for. Yeah. Oh,
Well-
he was injured in something, or
No, he was. He owned a bar and grill,
oh yeah,
and he said, the
BLM was
I don't know that he even specifically said BLM,
okay.
but he said that the riots and the protests are hurting business.
Yeah.
So we're going to raise prices by $1 or $2 per item for the next week or two. We're going to call it a protest tax or a riot tax or something because they're just losing so much money because of it.
Yeah.
And he said, and anyone who's supporting this, which is hurting our business, we're going to let them go. Employees.
Oh, all right.
If any of our employees are supporting this thing that's basically ruining our business,
Yeah.
we're going to let them go because that's a house divided, right?
Mhm.
So, and he didn't say anything racist. He didn't say anything
Yeah.
bigoted, nothing like
Yeah.
that. It was, we're raising our prices because of the riots, and anyone that supports it that works here is going to be let go,
Yeah.
right? And understandable.
Sure.
And so he quickly just got called, and then that message or email got put out to the public,
Yeah.
and he was quickly called a racist and a bigot.
Well, I mean, there's a first time for everything.
Right, and then Candace Owens said, "Well, I'm going to raise money for this guy."
Yeah.
So she started a GoFundMe, which raised $200,000 in less than 5 hours.
Yeah.
And then GoFundMe shut it down, citing that this was inciting hate and bigotry and racism.
Yeah. Totally. Well, I'm glad they put that to. I'm glad they stopped that.
My thought is like, I can't wait to see CHAZ represented in the Olympics.
That's
That's
true.
what I've been thinking about. They're gonna be
A lot of wheezy. Wheezing.
they're gonna be so great in the Olympics. Like, I don't know what sports they would enter in or what they would be good at. Crying would be one, probably.
Yeah. Mhm.
Crying.
Yeah.
Gardening.
Gardening. Yeah.
Did you see the gardening thing?
Yeah. They have a community
A
garden.
garden where they just put topsoil on top of grass, and
Yeah.
then they set the plants in the topsoil.
Okay.
I just like who.
I wonder if that's gonna work.
Probably not.
Like
Yeah.
my thought is like, okay, so Seattle is still technically on lockdown, right? Technically. I mean, they've been protesting,
know.
but like, I'm not sure if they're in phase. Have they
Yeah.
even done phase 1 or phase 2 or any of this? Maybe they have. Maybe they have.
Probably.
But like, who has? I always wondered this, and I wondered this about Occupy Wall Street like years ago. Like, who is it? Just trust fund kids that are participating in this? Who has the time to do this? Like,
It's both the rich and the very poor alike.
yeah, I was like, who has the time to do this?
It doesn't. It's anybody. It's everybody.
Well,
And right
everybody's
now,
out of
everyone's
work right now.
Yeah, I guess that's true too.
And that's
huh?
how that kind of, I think that's the reason why this got so out of control so fast, is because people had been locked up in their houses. They've been out of work. They have no responsibilities. They're bored. They have all this pent up anger and aggression. And so it was the perfect storm.
I was telling somebody that the other day that like a lot of what's going on, I think just happened to be like the perfect storm, right? Because you have all this this pent up pandemic energy, right? 90% of the world like got like essentially just like boom, lights out, shut down.
I mean, you couldn't even go to the gym. So many
Right.
people can't even work out, you know?
Exactly. The outlets are taken away, and like you got all this energy, the uncertainty, fear, like you got all this stuff going on, and then on the other side, you have all this, centuries of racial oppression and stuff like that that's boiling underneath, and then and then you have people and the media and the president and other people just kind of like sprinkling in gasoline and stuff on top, and it's just like it's a super volcano at this point. And like this, I'm like, well, where does this, like the nation of CHAZ, like I guess it fits kind of into this, maybe in the pandemic energy side, and but I just can't help. I really have been twisting my mind for the last 3 months, like thinking about what is the end game here? It's just like there's so many moving parts. Like whoever is orchestrating it, which I truly 110% believe this is all being orchestrated.
Soros.
It's a control. Yeah, it's Soros. It's like a controlled. It's like they tried to do a controlled burn, but it's just like this helter skelter burn now. That's like that no one really has control, but like the puppeteers, whoever they are just like they're using it, right? They're just going with it, almost like Aikido. Like they're using the energy of the people, and they're just like using the energy and taking them to the ground. And it's just like that's one thing that I'm like, where are we going? And like, what is I've been trying to figure out the angle. Like, who's being had? Are we being had? Are we being played? I don't know. Like, and whoever's done it has done such a masterful job that you have just like all these different opinions on podcasts, on the news, on YouTube, of people, what they think their take on what's going on is. And I'm someone that, I'm a little bit tinfoil in general. Like I'm pretty skeptical of everything, especially anything that comes across mainstream news.
John even wears tinfoil underwear.
Yeah. At night I'm like, this is gonna chafe, but it'll protect me from getting probed. Like, so I'd lay there, and someone is having a lot of fun at all of us surfs. Someone's having a lot of fun at our expense.
Yeah, well, I think that it's probably a lot of it's like a big kind of risk, a game of risk, really.
Yeah.
Where you have your you're trying to grab all your your fighters and trying to put them against each other, and that's what I think is the really sad part, because you have people that are genuinely like the Black Lives Matter movement. They want to fight whatever it is, the inequalities in the systems and all that stuff. And then you have the anarchist Antifa types who really, they're just latching onto it and then creating chaos and strife to break down those systems and just make chaos, because that's what they want. They have to break the system inside this, from within. And it's pretty amazing to watch that and to know that there are people that this is their plan, and how quickly social media accelerates that. Because I don't think it's as masterfully controlled. I think they are influencing the way that they want, and that they're like, holy shit, I didn't think it'd go off this quickly, like that's we're doing a great job. But have you heard of Boogaloo? Yeah. So that's apparently this term for the Civil War. So when you said helter skelter, it reminded me of Boogaloo, because which is from the movie Break-In 2 Electric Boogaloo. Yeah. And I'm not exactly sure how that plays in the whole thing.
I think Twitter just banned the term Boogaloo.
It was the most Googled word in like the past month or 2 months, or
probably
something like
January, February. Yeah.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, the last
really?
2 months. Yeah, it was gaining. I think it got banned before any of the COVID stuff.
Really?
Or at least it was getting to be a big deal back then.
Okay, because I had never even. I mean, I'd heard the movie Break Into Electric Boogaloo. Hope we don't get kicked off YouTube for
my phone
bringing up popping and locking.
I was seeing lots of mentions and questions about that a few months ago.
On all your QAnon,
dude. Like, what do you guys think? What do you guys? Have you ever talked about that on this podcast before? Talked about Q?
Not.
I follow it very loosely. I wouldn't even say that I follow it. I've looked into it a little bit.
I watched John Q with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
I use Q-tips.
I have a theory.
I like Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Ice Cube?
Oh, Cube. Sorry.
That's actually a good business idea. Write that down.
I just like I have a theory on Q, and I don't know if it's I don't know, because there's people that like they swear up and down.
Oh yeah.
But this,
I do know a guy that's very into it.
These people are into it, and what I think it is I think because like these people are like no, and like this is gonna happen, and it's all gonna break loose, and they're gonna get all the bad guys and round them all up, and the president is the big Q, and is gonna save the day or whatever. And like what I think it is, I think somebody very clever, and maybe they're a white hat in the government, but somebody very clever, like. It's a bot, right? But what it does is it like uses a ton of algorithms, like crazy algorithms, and it pulls everything from news articles, blogs, videos, and like blends it down together and spits out like these things. And that's because some people are like, well, it wasn't right about that, but the timing was off, but it was really right about this stuff. And I was like, that sounds to me like an algorithm, like, and it's just pulling all this information and spitting out what the QAnon folk want to hear, like,
and so for the people that don't follow QAnon or whatever, it's basically that there's a revolt against the deep state.
Yes, basically.
And that Trump is a big part of that, and that like you take his Twitters and they mean secret things.
All
Yeah, if you take his Twitter and divide it by 6.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, it's just like people find symbolism and things like that in these photo ops and stuff, and it's
misspelled words and capitals where they shouldn't be.
It's really strange.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like I started to look into it like a year ago, and I was like, I can't like that. I was just like, this is.
It's like Alex Jones level.
It's too weird
Lizard
for me.
people and
it's too weird.
They did the same thing with Bush, though. I mean, it's
Pizzagate.
Yeah.
There was Pizzagate.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do love pizza.
and Gates.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, inside a
gates
gate,
are-
outside a gate.
It's fucking delicious.
But yeah, like the Q, it's I think what it is, and somebody just put it out there. I think this like someone asked me about like, what do you think about Q? And I was like, this. I told him this, and I was like, I think that somebody put it out there as almost like a beacon in the middle of the ocean that is the internet, and was just like, hey, look at this over here. And like some of these people, I mean, they're like researching it and spending all this time decoding it and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude. But I also think that those people are being watched.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I was just
For
mentioning
sure.
this. You know, well, the funny thing about what you were saying about an algorithm is that's almost game theory. So I don't know if you know like about game theory, but it has something to do with, I don't know much about it, but it has something to do with that like all things can kind of be broken down into these laws of just happenstance. Like you could basically you could predict the news by looking at previous. I think would be one of, you know, but it applies to everything in life. So
I mean, you can also just watch The Simpsons.
That's
That's
true too.
true.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. So I have this theory. Like, here we are. So I have a theory that, like, because you know, like, there's things like The Simpsons and, like movies and stuff like that that predict, like, people are like, oh, see, it predicted this, right? So I have this theory that, like, if you think about it from, like, an occult angle, like, a movie or a song or a book can be almost like an incantation, right? But it needs power to become real, right? And so,
like Pinocchio.
right? Well, yeah, okay, like a small. In order for it to grow, something has to be stimulated with the wood.
I get it.
But no, like
I don't understand.
I don't get it either. I don't know what these
I
thoughts
can't
come
control my horny level.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think that there's something to. An example would be home court advantage, right? So we know in sports, right? I'm a sports guy. Like we know in sports, like if you're playing at home, like you have an advantage playing at home. Like
Okay.
and especially like
because
when-
of coronavirus.
right? Well, you know, because like you can't
Can't
lose
leave
at
the
home.
house.
There's no virus to beat you because you're inside your house. And you haven't seen
Yeah.
anybody for a while, so you can beat yourself.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot of boredom and clouds when you're stuck inside with coronavirus. But like, you know, they have an advantage at home, right? An example, a couple years ago when Philadelphia won the Super Bowl, right? It was literally, they went to the playoffs 9-7. Like they had no business being there, Like, and like they got a backup quarterback. They had no business being there, but something happened. They turned into world beaters, right? Because people were just like anybody but the Patriots.
Yeah.
Anybody but the Patriots, and they managed to get there. And like Tom Brady threw for 500 yards and lost. Like,
Damn.
and like Nick Foles had like the game of his life, and like they just were the Eagles were fantastic in that game. Like they literally beat like the best quarterback and the best mind in football. Like, but I think also just the energy of the country being like, come on, come on. Like, I think that there's something to that I don't think we understand fully. And I think that things like The Simpsons, right? Think about how many viewers The Simpsons has had over how much 20 some odd years. Like, it's
30.
a lot of energy going towards it, right? And so it's almost like that energy powers the incantation or powers the spell. It's like mana. Like,
Or like a hands-free orgasm.
yes, you're just like, oh, how does it happen? Oh, there it is. Like, I willed it so. It's like, oh, maybe the refractory
I've
period's
tried.
shorter because I didn't have to use my hands. Like, I don't know. Like,
Hey, you're holding 2 sandwiches. You know?
one from Jimmy John's, one from Subway.
Got a lot of, don't have a lot of time.
But I think that there's something to that, and I think that things like the Mandela effect, Q, some of the other stuff, like we're powering this, and I think that if you want to go down a really weird hole, like a rabbit hole, if you think about things like, there's a lot of people that say that there's all this occult symbolism in hip hop, and there's all this occult symbolism in things that pop stars do and that entertainers do, and some of that's like Q stuff, and some of that's I think symbolism here nor
Devil
there.
worship,
Right.
Satan.
Yeah, like they're drinking a dream of chrome and carrying on.
Yeah.
Like which again, I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm just a guy. But I think that like when you look at something like the last Super Bowl halftime show, right? Like a lot of people were just like, what is J-Lo and Shakira? What are they doing? And if you look in the background of like the hands positioning of like these people that are dancing, it's all occult symbolism. And like I watched like several videos where like they're just breaking it down. But think of it, if you're going to cast a spell, who better than the rest of the whole world to be watching you
And into it.
and into it than
Interesting.
the power of your spell?
Yep.
Like-
No, I totally agree with all that.
There is something. So I'm like the people that are watching so I'm a massage
Wait.
therapist.
Are you saying that Shakira's hips might lie?
They might lie.
Like to be?
Yeah.
About their intentions.
Yeah. Sexy time, devil. Like that's
That's how they get you.
that's how they get it. The hips cast spells. But I think that which by the way also like I just side note, like she hasn't aged a day.
Right?
Shakira. I was like,
Yeah.
you look like you're like 29 and she's
Shakira,
40.
what's her name?
J-Lo?
J-Lo, and then Jennifer Aniston.
yeah, these women don't age. It's so impressive. I don't know how much surgery it
It's
is
a
or if it's no
special-
surgery.
It's a aborted fetus rub
You agree?
that they put on there.
Well, I mean,
Oh man.
I mean, if it works.
yeah. I'd use
I didn't
it.
say human fetus.
Yeah.
Okay.
How fresh does this fetus have to be?
We're talking baby seals, eagles, wolves.
Okay,
I mean, at
all
least
right.
it's a renewable resource.
Right.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm good with that. A little bit of like bald eagle egg on your face in the morning, it helps.
Yeah.
But there's like, so if you think about it from that angle, like, because like I've seen other videos too where like, like Katy Perry back in the day was doing some stuff at like the VMAs or Grammys or something like that. I'm like, dude, this is straight up devil worship. What's happening on stage? I'm like watching it being like,
When
is
she was on
anybody-
the cloud with her tits hanging out?
I mean, you might as well. Like, I mean, like, it's like, that's a huge angel. That's not all of her. But the idea of, the idea that, like, maybe, like, these, again, the Illuminati overlords, whoever these people are, like, have an understanding of some of this stuff, like, some of this occult stuff that, like, that we don't. Like, and, like, they use all this, if you're going to do something crazy, like, I mean, and use a whole bunch of high energy. Like fear is a huge energy, right? We know people can do crazy things on fear.
Like Fear Factor.
Yeah. Well, you want to lay in a bed of
I mean,
scorpions.
Joe Rogan, he's really done
Yeah.
pretty well.
Yeah. But that's the
Did
thing.
he used to host that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot
Yeah,
all
yeah.
about that.
Back in the day.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Maybe that's how he got to his position of power.
Yeah.
He scared enough people by making him, eat
He's been-
scorpions and
Yeah,
crawl
yeah.
amongst black widows.
He's like an energy vampire of fear.
Yeah. Something.
Well, I was actually reading about this. I can't remember exactly what they were called, but they were, I think it was a Chartic Christianity. And what they were was when the Roman Catholic Church, because of all the gilded everything and all the money and all that stuff, they broke off because they believe that you should be poor and all that. So all the stuff basically follow Jesus, and they believed that the God of the Old Testament became Satan, and that the God of the New Testament was Jesus.
Interesting.
I'll have to look into that. That's fascinating.
It's kind of interesting, yeah. But they, Roma, if you look up Botticelli,
You want me to spell that?
Yep, B-O-T.
Just go to the Olive Garden menu. I'm sure it's probably somewhere on there.
Bottichel, yeah, that guy.
Sandro Botticelli.
Yeah, we go to his paintings or go to his art.
Oh, dude, look at that! Look at his that look.
Yeah, so he had some of like a devil eating people or some kind of craziness. Yeah, but it was very.
This
yeah,
one.
right there. Yep,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pleasant.
Oh, good
Yeah.
Lord.
pretty crazy, right? Anyways, yeah, he has these very interesting art, pieces of art. But it was just interesting to me that they would go, oh, the Old Testament, that's Satan, and then because obviously that's not what we traditionally think of because whatever Lucifer was, I don't know,
Right, that was before, right? They think that.
cast out of
Yeah.
out of with the fallen angels, and then they were the demons, and I don't know.
Yeah, dude,
But
it's crazy.
yeah, but kind of an interesting take on it. Oh, and the reason I brought it up is they believed actually in kind of this hedonistic version of Christianity. So adultery was fine, and
Oh, I like this.
yeah, totally. I was like, I could be into this. Adultery was fine, and there was something else that was fine. But then I'm like,
Orgies.
oh, well, I'm sure I would assume
Right,
that's rolled in. I mean, I
feel
don't
like that's-
ask.
Yeah, that's like a bundle deal, probably.
A bundle deal.
I'll
Yeah.
apologize later if that's the case, but I'm not asking if I can. I seek forgiveness from Satan.
What about pineapple on pizza? I mean, is that
I think that's probably pretty. No,
Is
wait,
that
actually,
kosher?
that
There?
seems a little bit too fancy. That's for the gilded Roman Catholics.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we're poor. Okay, we do sausage and mushrooms. Tastes musty.
Yeah, but I keep so if you think of that theory, like the fact that like we're powering this and fueling this, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like whatever you lend your energy to, like, so you become. Like there's like a lot of like through multiple religions, like whatever your thoughts are, like whatever comes out of you is based on your thoughts, and that's in Christianity, if what comes out of your mouth, that's what defiles a man or whatever. But like in Eastern philosophy, it's like you are your thoughts basically, and with all this fear going on, it just kind of like ramped up, and combine it with the pandemic and the uncertainty of it.
You're saying it's like Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
Okay.
Like Ghostbusters. I think that's like that's a really good metaphor. Like,
Ectoplasm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that like it's just like people have lost the love, basically. Like Black Eyed Peas and Justin Timberlake tried to warn us in the late '90s about where is love. Yeah, now we're here. Should have listened to you.
Podcasting.
I have a question though, and I can't help but think this: if these Illuminatis are the people in charge and they have spells that are effective, how the hell did Trump become president?
Oh, dude, I don't know.
That is an interesting.
Is he an anomaly? Did they just not have enough power to fight him? Or
You know what I see him as? Like I've always thought this. Like he's like a virus, right? And he like infiltrated the mainframe, and like the motherboard's just
He's like Neo.
yeah, like seriously, and like the motherboard is just like freaking out, trying
Neo.
to how do we get this? Norton antivirus doesn't work. Kaspersky doesn't work. McAfee antivirus doesn't work. They can't get rid of it. Nothing sticks to this man. Like
Whoa! I know kung fu.
You're saying I'm going to be able to dodge bullets? No. I'm saying when you're ready.
I dodge bullets.
have
I dodge bullets very well, very well.
Yeah, I dodge bullets the best. I'm the best at dodging bullets.
I could do this before.
tremendously. I dodge bullets tremendously.
Tremendously. It's like, people shooting me, very bad. Bad people, very bad.
The worst. They're the worst.
I cannot
Cypher
wait.
is fake news. Okay.
Yeah. I can't wait to go into the future and read the books that are going to be written about him. Like, because some people are, I mean, there people are already just like, he's better than Reagan.
Yeah.
And like, some people are just like, this is the worst thing that ever happened to us.
Yeah.
And like, all the opinions in between. Like, and it's just, I
Well,
can't wait to read.
If one side wins, both sides get represented in the books.
Yeah.
If the other side wins, all the books are completely destroyed and, basically taken off of the electronic record and the physical record.
Yeah.
So, I'd rather the one side win and anybody be able to write any book that they want rather than having
I am for total freedom.
yes.
That
And
way.
and that's the problem I think with this is I think most people agree with, you should not censor everything to how we feel. And part of it is that we're going for what's popular in the moment, like everybody ripping down all these statues and stuff, and it's like okay, look, if the statue is offensive to people, then it can be moved, or it can be it can be put into a museum.
Yeah,
or
we could have a
whatever.
big park of offensive statues.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
You
Actually.
could put that in the Midwest and it would revitalize a whole town.
Totally. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so you're driving along, got the corn thing.
One of the
You got
towns that
the,
just got ruined
wall
by
drug.
Route 66.
You just
Yeah,
got
just put this weird
you got
ass statue
Saddam,
museum somewhere,
Gaddafi, Hitler.
somewhere in
It would be
Oklahoma,
great.
like
Yeah.
somewhere, just somewhere was just like or Wyoming, because there's not a lot going on. Wyoming needs it. They don't have a lot going on in Wyoming. They
Maybe
got antelope.
Tiger King's park.
Yeah,
Could
something.
just have tigers and statues.
I miss the good old Tiger King days.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's such
That
a
was one
simple
thing you
time.
left off the list, John. Tiger, the magic that is Tiger.
Oh yeah, they had a
Mm-hmm.
captive audience, all stuck at home.
Oh,
That was
the-
the perfect time to release that documentary.
The most perfect documentary ever made.
If it was up to Carol Baskin, maybe they'd be less captive.
Yeah. Did you see that she got a zoo? It broke my
Oh,
heart.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, the court awarded her the whole zoo, but not with the animals, just the physical zoo.
Yeah, well,
Interesting.
she came off poorly to me in that documentary. I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody else agrees with me.
Fuck Carol Baskins.
Yeah. I like-
Holy shit. It's crazy.
Should
Yeah.
beep that out.
Got it.
Oh,
Nailed it.
no need for post edit. Save
Nope.
the day.
Yep.
You travel back. You have to travel back in time. Put it in the right place. It'll be
Everyone
good,
relax.
a good use of your DeLorean outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, but we got out the history, the statues,
Mm-hmm.
all that. Yeah, I don't think it's good to tear stuff down. I mean, I think moving it, okay,
Yeah.
because I can understand, like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a glorified statue of some guy that did terrible things to your ancestors,
Yeah.
that's understandable.
And
Like,
maybe
I
get,
that.
museums or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But there's some cities already that now are voting to move them.
Yeah,
and so
totally.
they don't need to be taken down.
As
like
a
that.
democratic process
Exactly.
should go.
So it's already happening.
Yeah.
Lots of towns are voluntarily doing it. I think that's how it should happen. I think having mobs of people do it is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, and it's
so-
like with Christopher Columbus, it's like okay, so yeah, he got some really good press, and if you look at any of the conquistadors, Cortez and any of those guys, I mean, look at like even Magellan. Oh, he sailed around the world. Well, I'm sure he did some pretty not great things when he was doing that. Sorry, that's the life that they led. That
I mean,
was
that's
the-
human nature.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't change the past by denying it or by somehow subverting it or hiding it
Right.
from people.
Well, I know that I had gone to a museum and that they had a full costume. What do they call
Freddie
it?
Mercury.
No, KKK costume.
What?
But it
awesome.
was in context of like slavery and the
Yeah.
history of slavery and all
Right.
those types of things. So I mean, like you could consider that offensive, or you could just look at it as it really was, which is history.
right.
Yeah.
I think that should be taken as, like, if we leave the monuments up, maybe we contextualize them a little bit, and if it just glorifies them, maybe we can
Yeah.
add or change things. But I think that should be taken as, if you're walking your child past a monument of a man who did terrible things or who fought for slavery,
Yeah.
you can like we should be taking that monument or that statue as, teaching your kid, like, there was a bad time in the history of this
Yes.
country with bad people.
Yes.
But we beat them.
Well,
And the promise of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution won. And we won over the South. And here's the bad people that we had to fight. And like, we don't have to erase it. It's still there. But you can teach your kids through that, and we can learn from that. And how are we supposed to know how far we've come if we don't know
Exactly.
what happened?
I was just saying, like, it's almost like you're burning, like you're burning the road behind you, like, and burning the bridges behind you, and like at one point you're gonna look back and be like, where did I even come from?
Mm-hmm.
If that ideology is allowed to take hold and take root, we'll just destroy what makes us uncomfortable. We'll just destroy what we don't like, and like, I agree with everything you guys are saying as far as like maybe if it's outright hate, maybe you can maybe vote to destroy it or go through some democratic process to do it, or again put it in a museum and like say, hey, this is a time in our history where like this was awful.
Yeah.
Just like Holocaust memorials, like this was
Right.
awful. Like we
Right.
can never do this again.
Right.
And this is we've kept all this to show you just how awful it is,
Right.
so you can have a grasp of it and think, well, I never want to see thousands of piles of shoes and hair ever again.
Very well said, John. Auschwitz should stand as a monument to the evils that we've overcome and to remind us not to ever be that way again.
Well, and you look at these people that were the leaders, that these statues are made of, and you go, they're just people. They look just like the people that you see. They're not some crazy evil person. Their acts are, like these are just normal people. So when you see that person coming that goes, hey, I'm going to change some things. Hey, follow me. Hey, let's do it this way now because this is better. Let's burn all the books. Let's, let's take this cultural shift. And you start to follow that person thinking it's all just going to be great. Wow, this person has a lot of great ideas that no one's
Jonestown.
ever had before. And then suddenly you go, oh, no, wait, this is the same thing that
It's
happened.
the same play.
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened, but only we got rid of all the history, so there's no way for us to know that all those people that followed this person were not bad inherently. They're not different than us.
No.
They're the same people we are. They fell for it. They got tricked into it, and then they were in too deep or whatever it was. Because that's all that happens to people. People are not inherently bad, and they were not inherently hateful. We end up going down certain roads, and I think that's one of the most troubling parts about this for me, is that, the forced identity, the identity politics and stuff, basically the tribalism, is really pushing people further and further apart where
Well,
we should be,
It's like the road to hell is paved with good intentions,
Yeah.
So while this whole thing started off with, police brutality and, a wrongful death and things like that, now
that
it's turning,
everyone agrees with.
everyone agrees with.
Yeah.
I have not met or heard of one person that did not agree with how that was a terrible thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's turned into this, burning down cities, and now, you've got this like area that's blocked off and held up by gunpoint. You have to pay money, and they're in control of everything, and it's like, this does not seem like a great idea.
Well, you can also pay with things like this, Roma.
What do we got here?
So, their first, when they first came there, they didn't have, or they had some food, right? Mm-hmm. So then they let, I guess there was homeless people there.
Okay.
In their colony. And they, the homeless guys stole all the food.
Awesome.
So they didn't have any food, and they were twittering out what they wanted to eat. Robo, do you think you could pull that up? See, Twitter, CHAZ,
Put CHAZ
food.
Yeah. CHAZ food list.
Food tweet or something just like that. And so they they were requesting out to everybody. And this is like day 2, So basically day 1 had like food, had all these things. Day 2 got the food stolen. I would just look for an image or something of because there should be a tweet with the their list of food demands. Let's see.
There you go.
Yeah. So would you read what they're asking for?
The homeless people we invited took away all the food at the Capitol Hill. What is it?
Autonomous
Zone. We need more food to keep the area operational. Please, if possible, bring vegan meat substitutes, fruits, oats, soy products, etc. That is unbelievable.
It physically hurts.
Are you sure that wasn't a troll?
How are we?
No, that's real. That is real.
How are we not being messed with? How is this not a psyop? You know what I mean? Like, how is this possible? Like, who in their right mind is sitting there and be like, this is reasonable?
Vegan meat substitutes and soy products.
I feel this could be like one of those alternate dimensions from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, seriously. Like, so I have a client. This is back in mid to late 2016, and so I'm a massage therapist. I do sports deep tissue. That's the kind of therapist I am. And one of my clients is telling me, after the Cubs won the series in 2016, they told me, like, my spouse turned to me and said, Trump's gonna win, and they were like, why? This is when all the polls had him losing in a landslide, and they're like, why? Is it space-time continuance off? Cubs are supposed to win in 2015, right? Which plays back into my theory about the energy into the movie, right? And like something happened, right? And and now we're in this. It's like we started off the year and it was like we're at a birthday party and there's a clown here and this is awkward, and now we're in the middle of Stephen King's It, in the garage where it's coming alive, and it's just like I want the ride to stop. Like, it's not fun anymore. I'm
really excited.
I saw a meme yesterday. Dear 2020, wrong hole. Thanks.
Yeah,
everybody.
seriously, what is next? Like, what is? And so I was thinking about what's next, and this is just a prediction that may be right, it may be wrong. I was like, you know what's missing from all this? Like, and it's horrible to say, and I hope that it doesn't happen, but I just have this sinking feeling there will be either like some kind of a terror event or a mass shooting.
Well,
Like, and I just hope that that's not the case, but it's just like, what hasn't happened yet?
Or the what's the caldera is going to explode.
When that earthquake hit, I was like, that was my first thought. I was like, oh no, because like where we're at geographically, we're in zone 4. It's 100% death zone.
Yeah, in New York City.
I think I'll be fine.
Look, yeah, the 100% death zone goes from basically Seattle to Oklahoma. I mean, it's
we're toast.
for those who don't know, the largest volcano on the planet is, underneath Yellowstone Park in Wyoming.
But the thing is, they don't know how much. They don't know.
It's going to get that far to Florida, though. Really?
The ash would cover the entire world. The 100% the 100% instant death zone goes from Seattle to Oklahoma. After that, it's going to take a few more days, but everyone will end up dying.
Yeah.
Well, and if not starvation, I'm sure, because of
it only takes a quarter inch of ash to poison plants and water sources. Mm-hmm. The ash would cover the entire planet. The Yellowstone caldera would be a 97 or 8% of all mammals on the planet would die.
Yeah, nuclear winter, basically.
Yeah. Every water source and crop on the planet would be poisoned.
My understanding of Yellowstone too is like they don't know how much of the caldera is actually liquid magma versus like just like solidified.
Is there some way we can just stick a little like vent out a little bit and?
Isn't that a geyser?
Yeah.
We'd have to vent a little more than that.
No, right.
But they insist that it's not going to erupt.
I mean, if we just shoot it to like eastern Wyoming, no one will even know.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody out there at all.
It's true. Well, and I don't know. I'm not hopeless about all this stuff. I mean, hey, yes, those things could happen. Those things would be the end, But I really think that there's an accelerated, it's all so ridiculous, that the homeless people steal all the food and that they set up this complete, what they've feared about America turning into, this authoritarian state. They set that up immediately.
Immediately became everything they hated.
Yeah, with their own Gestapo and everything. I mean, it's just so funny. All of it is hilarious.
I thought they hated scary semi-automatic rifles.
Well, so these guys, that John Brown Gun... Will you look that up? John Brown Gun Club, I believe it is.
So as long as it's liberals carrying scary guns.
Yeah, then they're fine.
Okay.
And actually, the funny part is they have like recordings of the if you'll just look at like what they are, I think they basically they're Antifa associates and so
Yeah, it is an anti-fascist, anti-racist, pro-worker community defense organization.
Pro-worker. That sounds
Yes.
capitalist to me.
no, that's communist.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Marxism is all about.
Aren't they more
is
like
for the people, for the workers, because the
Okay.
worker is not an individual. The worker is a collective that they kill
It's a
as
cog.
many of you as they want, getting what they want. It's a great system, really.
I mean, if they kill all the people that actually work,
I mean, what can
I don't think
possibly
that's
go
gonna
wrong?
work.
And actually, I'm listening to the Gulag Archipelago again, which is this huge series of books that won the Nobel Peace Prize by Alexander Solzhenitsyn in 1974, and it was about his time in the gulags in Russia, and during Stalin's
Sounds like a
times.
bad time.
Not a great time to be alive, no. And they would they had these things. It was called like Article, I don't know, I can't remember if it was, I think it was 58, but Article like 56, 57, 58 was basically conspiracy to commit, or conspiracy to commit something against the party, and then conspiracy to commit conspiracy, and then like suspected conspiracy to commit conspiracy. And all of these would get you 5 or 10 years in a work camp. Where basically they would just work you to death. They would interrogate you, and the interrogator's belief was, my job is to get a confession out of you. I will do whatever it takes to get a confession out of you. That's my job. So they didn't care if you were innocent or not. Never, mostly everybody was innocent. And 1 out of 5 people were a government informant. So, even your wife, your kids, any of them. What they did initially was they went to the Ukraine, and the Bolsheviks basically
Watch your language.
Yeah. Oops. So they believed that basically this workers' party, these Marxists took over, and the communists, and they said the farmers are the rich ones because they were having their own kind of roaring 20s. In Russia. It was actually a really good time to be alive, and it was the Russian Revolution after Tsar Nicholas II, and they were trying to balance the wealth, and basically these guys came in kind of like like these people are, and go, oh, there's inequality, and in finances and all that. So what they did was they killed all the landowners, and killed them or exiled them. If you left, you left. If not, you died. And then they figured out pretty quickly that none of the people who took over
Knew how to do it.
could farm. And so I think that was like 6 million, or God, maybe it was more than that, 20 million, 30 million, something like that. A huge amount of Ukrainians died in the Ukrainian area of starvation. They had signs that said, "Do not eat your children." They have posters and
Jesus.
signs that said that, and that because that was how prevalent it was.
I want to know
Mm-hmm.
who the
How it
people are
tastes.
that the sign actually helped them make a
It's
difference.
fucking delicious.
Like I want to know who's like, you know what, honey, I think we should eat the kids. And the wife was like, but didn't you see the sign?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was right in
Hey.
the parking lot of Arby's. It said, "Don't eat."
Right.
I was like,
You don't-
that hit me right here.
Yeah.
Right here is where it landed for me.
Okay, so if we're talking about like things that happen that are
Hilarious.
no, I mean like
What?
Yeah, eating your children in freaking Ukraine. Hilarious.
It's fucking delicious.
if we're talking about things that are metaphysical or have to do with patterns in the universe or whatever, what if this is our version of the Roaring Twenties, but we have to it's like it's on its side, like we have to balance out what the Roaring 20s were initially.
Oh, that's a cool thought.
Mm-hmm.
What if we have to balance out what the Roaring 20s were initially? Oh, that's a cool thought.
What if we have to balance out what the Roaring 20s were initially?
Oh, that's a cool thought.
Because everybody was like, yeah, Roaring Twenties, or it's going to be awesome. It's going to be our decade or whatever, and then this.
Yeah,
That is
history repeats
interesting.
itself, and like we didn't even get to 29. It's like right out of the box.
Hey, you know what? At least it can only get better from here.
Yeah,
Well.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I mean, like I am kind of like a make lemonade out of lemons
again?
person.
No.
Like make lemonade. It's tasty, delicious, very delicious. And even I'm like, dude, like this is like too much. Like it's like too much to like process. And I mean, one thing I learned during quarantine, obviously, as someone in close contact services, like all of a sudden they just kicked my business right in the balls. That's it. All my hobbies as an improviser, teaching improv, that's gone. Stand up, that's gone. And so I'm like, was left being like, dude, like, what is it like to not have a purpose? So my wife is a counselor, and she was talking to me about something called ambiguous loss. And from what I remember her saying about it, ambiguous loss being like you lose something suddenly. Something is taken away from you. It's not necessarily a death per se, but it's a loss. And the whole world experienced all that, right? Because the majority of the world just shut down. And we almost have a lost generation of people in some of our age verticals, like all the high school seniors that all the rites of passage, which could be seemingly lame to some of the world, but it's a huge deal to them. They're missing out on this rite of passage, whether it was a proper graduation, senior prank, senior skip, maybe they were vying for a D2 or D3 scholarship. Most of the D1 kids were probably already signed, but maybe they were about to do their championship in whatever sport, gone. At the college level, the NCAA tournament, some of those mid-major schools, had a real legitimate shot to go deep in a tourney, and they don't get a shot hardly ever.
Some might call that privilege.
Well,
Shut down the conversation.
Boom! Got him. So that's the sound of everybody's dream shattering. As we come to a screeching halt, right? And that seems it could be very easy to dismiss the psychological ramifications of that. But we don't even know. Someone was telling me apparently in San Francisco they've had this amount of suicides in 3 months that they have in a year, right? But you're not seeing these things reported. And so where else is that happening all over the world where people have just completely lost hope, completely. And again, if you're thinking about carbon.
But those were all COVID, though. So
Right, of course.
just make sure.
Yeah. Well, actually, so
COVID
we
deaths.
know, in my family, we know a family friend that they lost an older person in their family, and they had a whole myriad of hosts of other problems, and they marked it COVID. And
Interesting.
and the family, the thought was no, this is not what happened. But we know that they get paid out more by Medicare if you mark this thing COVID. So there's a whole bunch of things with the numbers that you're just this doesn't. China's numbers don't add up.
No.
I'm not saying that this thing is a hoax. This thing is very real and it's dangerous. It's real. It's a real virus.
But there's also ulterior motives in certain things that are going on.
Is it being politicized? You bet it is being politicized for sure. And the thing is, we did so much about the virus that we don't know. We're only 3 months into this pathogen. It presents in so many different ways, that you can.
Yeah.
I just like watching doctor opinions on YouTube and just seeing what these rando doctors have to say about it, because they all have different opinions. And it presents this way, it presents that way. They show this symptoms. Some people are asymptomatic. This week, the CDC on Monday was I think it was the CDC, was hey, the people that are asymptomatic, we think that actually they're spreading it is very rare. The next day they walked it back. And I was well, and again, the whole time it's been this way. It's the masks, no masks, masks, no masks, maybe cloth, N95.
Someone, I think the proper verbiage there, someone yanked their chain.
Yeah, someone got throttled behind a door and I was what are you doing?
Yeah, why would you say something like that? They had to walk that back.
So it's all this happening, and I don't. It's funny because sometimes when I talk about, things maybe we're being played by people who aren't elected officials.
Oh,
I
God,
typically get the 1,000-yard fluoride stare from people, and they're just kind of they're just because I'm presenting them with information they've never been considered, and their brain just bzzz, and just shuts down. one of my good friends.
What do you think tap water is? It's
Yeah.
a gay bomb, baby.
That's
He
a
is
great sound.
Yeah, he's wonderful. Like he's insane, but he's wonderful. But one of my good friends the other day was just like, I think there's something to all the things you've been saying over the years. I think that even a lot of quote unquote normies are like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Normies.
Okay. Yeah. Like, okay.
Wait a
we're-
minute. Like, what? Something is going on here.
They're like murder hornets.
Really?
Really?
Well, have you seen the facial expression on the murder hornet? It's very angry.
Yeah.
It's got like the cartoon evil eyebrows. Like
Oh, it
it's
does. Yeah.
terrifying. Like if you saw, I saw a size of one on some guy's jacket, and I was like, this is some
Yeah.
Hunger Games tracker jacker type shit.
Yeah.
Like, how is this thing
It's-
not made in a lab somewhere?
It's wearing a little miniature Minneapolis Police Department badge.
Yeah.
There was a guy
On the thorax, it says 187, like really small in between each stripe. Yeah.
There was a guy who said he was at one of the protests and he had 12 crates of bees and he said he was going to release them
Oh
if
my
things got out of
God.
hand. So he had anti-riot beads or bees.
Okay.
What are you gonna do? Release the dogs
Yeah.
or the bees?
Just
The
push
dogs
over
with bees
some
in their
crates.
mouths, and when they bark, they shoot bees.
They're
at you?
trained. They're trained to be attracted to patchouli and Birkenstocks.
That's right.
It just zeroes right in.
Yeah. Go after non-meat substitute.
Hey,
chicken.
I've been watching X-Files, and there are alien killer bees on it. So just,
Like Wu-Tang Clan?
possibly.
How fast did that murder hornet thing go away, though?
Real quick.
That
No,
lasted like 3 days.
So I looked it up. So that they were here last year. Someone in the news cycle, again, they're always playing games. Someone was like, "This'll get them going too, and we can really ramp this up. Stick that right in there."
Well, when you got COVID as a headline, you got to pull some big guns. So they probably had that tucked away.
Yeah.
They're like, look, we're going to need a Trump card. And not literally Trump.
Right. He's like, I have a whole
Yeah.
deck of meats. Nice, very
Right.
nice.
Yeah.
right,
yeah.
COVID
Always
isn't-
winning.
The best bees.
It always wins.
Somebody wanted me to Google this for you, Steve.
Oh,
What?
yeah.
The shoe-bill bird or whatever.
That thing's prehistoric.
Whoa.
It's terrifying. I hate that
didn't I-
thing.
What the dude? Look at
Yeah.
its eyeball, dude. That has
Here-
like, I'll rip your balls off.
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah,
find
it's-
one that's next to a person.
It's like a Muppet.
They're giant.
From hell. Like
Yeah.
that's what it looks like. It looks like it looks like it's from the Dark Crystal.
Jesus Christ.
You guys ever seen that movie, The Dark Crystal? It's an oldie.
Oh my God, that's enormous.
That guy is an idiot.
That's what she said.
I hope he gets killed.
Look at her. She's like,
Yeah.
oh my tomatoes will never be the same.
You guys have seen Jurassic Park, right? Like,
Yeah, that thing's a dinosaur.
haven't anybody seen?
Like-
God,
That is. Oh
they're terrifying.
I would not have my child next to that.
no, it's like, dude, I don't let my kids
It's
close to
freaking-
geese.
It's like
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
literally Howard the Duck in the flesh.
Look at that brow, that furrowed brow.
Oh my
Do you think
God.
It looks like it speaks wisdom.
Wait,
He's showing us like this is where.
is she taking a knee to that? Because that's
No, they're reenacting Cinderella. Like that's what they were doing in that previous photo.
like when they
The glass
dress her.
slipper. They're just like,
Oh.
that's what they do. She's gonna ride that thing.
Yeah, no, that thing is crazy. Who said to bring that up?
I wanna
Was
take that thing to the
Sarah?
dog
Sarah
park.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to take that thing to the dog park.
Roma, do you want to give a shout out to all the people that
Yeah,
we got
let's do
online?
it.
Awesome.
So we've had Steve S., Kat, Sarah, Dan, Margot. Who else was here?
Thank you for showing up, everybody.
Oh,
We've
shit
been-
happens when you party naked.
Oh, shit.
Podcast.
Ooh.
Well, all of our favorites are here. We certainly appreciate you showing up, and we're chatty today. There's a lot going on in the world. What has everyone been very disagreeable with us so far, Roma?
We've had a lot of laughs, and we had a couple. This is gold.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad.
As Kat said that she's been looking up conspiracy theories while watching it.
Good.
Yeah. Well, and hey, feel free to bring any in because I think we're all open to.
Oh yeah, dude, like this. It's funny because I was talking with one of my buddies about like conspiracy theory, and like it can be really unhealthy, super fast.
Yeah.
If you, I mean, you can go down some pretty like dark corners of the internet looking for something. And like really, you shouldn't. Like, you should not. I don't even go on the dark web. I'm like, dude, no. Like Windows 10 is not equipped to handle the depths of the dark web.
I've never really done that. I
No.
I just want to. I want to
don't even like
encourage.
torrents.
I want to encourage all the normies out there to go watch Loose Change 9/11. I think that's.
I saw that documentary years ago.
Well, yeah, it's
a good
from
one.
17 years ago.
It's a good one.
But man, it'll freaking open your eyes. It's pretty crazy.
That's what got me into thinking about some of this stuff. I had a couple like friends that I'm not really friends with anymore that were like always way into conspiracy stuff, and I was like, "Oh, you guys are nuts." Again, I was 1,000-yard forest there. I was like, "I've never heard any of this. What are you talking about?" But then 9/11 happened, right? 9/11 happened, and I remember thinking to myself, like that night of 9/11, I was sitting on the Capitol steps with a theater buddy of mine, and everyone was just shell shocked. Like just absolutely shell shocked.
What happened on 9/11?
Yeah, well, it was right before 9/10,
Okay.
and then 9/12 came after it.
Oh,
Well,
that's crazy.
Well,
That is fucked
basically,
up.
Donald Rumsfeld came out the night before and said that the Pentagon lost $2 trillion.
Yeah, in a skipping negligee. He did it. It's a late night presser.
Yeah,
Oh,
super
came
late
out.
night. And that's pretty
That is
much
upsetting.
all. And then
Yeah.
the next day, some stuff happened.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. But I remember thinking to myself,
All right.
I thought to myself, like, this is like 20-year-old me,
Mhm.
or like, it was just like, I was like, didn't the Pentagon? I feel like the Pentagon would have had like laser turrets, or like all this stuff.
Crates of bees, anti-riot bees.
Something.
Bees.
To like,
Keep saying
how could they
beads.
not see that coming?
Well,
Like,
they did see it coming, too.
Well, right.
Like, literally, though.
Yeah. But then again, then the Patriot Act, right, was passed in like under a month. Like when does our government ever acted that fast with anything? You know what I mean? Like, and people just clapped it right on through, right? It was obvious. It was like 300 pages. It was obviously already written.
I mean, defunding the police. That's happened pretty.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I was talking with one of my buddies in Brooklyn, talking about the defunding the police today, and like the way it was described to me, like some of it I can kind of see, okay, the police do have a lot on their plate. Like, are they trained counselors to show up and deal with the schizophrenic? Like, I can kind of see both sides of the argument, but I'm still very skeptical of what they want to do. And like, I was just thinking, I think I told you this, like, it'd be like if you had like a Lowe's or a Home Depot, and like you were a franchisee, and they're like, by the way, we're gonna increase your fees, your franchisee fees, and we're gonna cut your budget. And like at some point, the employers are gonna be like, you have to cut your employees' benefits. You're gonna have to cut the equipment. They can't use a forklift. They're gonna have to use a ladder. And eventually, like the employers are gonna be like, I don't want to do this. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, and I think of people that I know that are in law enforcement, and I think of them, and it's just like at some point they're gonna be like, this isn't worth it for me to do this.
Absolutely.
Like,
well, and that's their point. That I think that's the plan as far as the communists and the anarchists go. Is they're like, yeah, we're just going to make it so that people quit because you're hated, according to all the loud voices, the ones that are going to speak without being completely having their careers ruined, their lives ruined, all that stuff. We're going to ruin you can't go into a coffee shop, or else all the people in that coffee shop are going to go, oh my God, they're supporting fascism and all that stuff. And the guys are going to be like, we're just cops that have been in the neighborhood helping everyone for years.
Yeah.
We're the same guys. We didn't change because that guy got, was an asshole and killed, was a murderer and killed somebody.
Right.
Well, and something that I've heard is they're like, oh, well, maybe we can do things, as far as talking about reform. They're like, well, maybe we can take away the traffic duty of police officers. And I was thinking about it, and it's interesting, but if you send someone out on traffic duty, so let's say there's some mailmen or something that go do traffic duty. So kind of like in New York City, they had those guys that they wore like a brown uniform at some point, and they were like the ticket people, the meter maid people or whatever. And then they would get like spit on and, beaten and all this stuff. So that they said, okay, well, you're part of the cops, so that they put on the cop uniform. But of course, they're not as respected as the police and as the NYPD is because, there's a whole different set of
Right.
rules to be one of those versus one of these. And the problem, though, is if you're going to have people out there pulling people over, traffic stops are one of the most dangerous things that police
Yeah.
do. You know, I mean,
True.
other than, I mean, unless it's like, oh, well, if you're drunk or if you're on drugs or if you're any of these things, what do we do with you? Do then we call the real police and we just try to follow you, or what? You know, what happens at that
Well,
point?
it is really interesting how many people get up in arms about drunk driving, but they want to get rid of cops.
Yeah. And
I mean, to put it super simply, like if you want to talk about an issue that everybody's on board with, drunk driving, who regulates that? Who tickets that? Where's the fear of, oh shit, if I get caught drunk driving, it's going to ruin my life?
yeah. And where's the authority when you don't stop driving to and the other thing that I was thinking about was and actually, yeah, if you want to go ahead, I've got a point afterwards.
You go.
Okay. In like England, they have traffic cameras that take pictures of you if you're like, it measures your plate and the amount of time it takes you to get places and things.
Yeah.
So that they can tell if you've been speeding. So if you're
I think
here
a lot of
at
places
this
in the
time
States
stamp,
have it too.
yeah, and then you're here and obviously you've been doing 75 or 80 miles an hour or whatever stones, whatever they measure their speed in. You'll get a ticket. Yeah. Yeah, but you'll get a ticket. And to me, that's more terrifying, is that I'm like, look, if you can get away with something, you should get away with it, and maybe that's just privilege. But I like that in life. I like not having to follow the rules exactly.
Well, I do. So per the cop thing and defunding and all this, I think defunding overall is pretty silly. We need a police force. I think the big thing is we need police accountability. And, I thought it was strange that they passed this whole thing about how some kind of rule or restructuring where the cops had to report police misconduct on other cops. And I'm like, shouldn't they have been doing that all along?
Right.
Like, I don't know why you had to pass that rule. That
Right.
seems ridiculous. But that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
Their deal is back the blue. They defend each other. They lie for each other. They don't report stuff that goes on. And that needs to change immediately.
Absolutely.
I think that holding police accountable and not having, any special immunity is the answer, where it's just as easy to hold a cop accountable for killing somebody as it would be me or you. If there was a video of me or you doing, holding any man down with a knee on his neck until he died, if there's video of that, there would have been a warrant out for our arrest in an hour. In 1 hour, we would have been arrested that night and charged that night. There's no question about it. I've seen it on a bunch of other things. So, I mean, when people go around rampaging, killing people, they get arrested right there.
Yeah.
And there's a clear video of what happened.
I mean, except Clinton, but
Well, right. But I'm just saying, they should just be held to the same exact standard. Somehow we get through our whole lives without accidentally putting our knee on someone's neck for 9 minutes. Somehow we've made it this far. And they should, so, if we're held to that standard, they should be held to that standard. They shouldn't be doing any abusive things at all. I just think accountability and being able to criminally charge them and wanting to get the bad apples out is the answer.
Agreed.
Well, and I do agree. I think that police it's almost like an instant replay, like, okay, so when you're a cop and you're doing your job, so it's like, okay, so if there's a police shooting, which most of the time it's not a knee on the neck. Most of the time it's a police shooting.
Sure.
There's video to review, who decides that's a crime, like do you just get arrested and then you turn over your utility belt and you sit in jail until somebody tells you you're okay, you're free,
That's
like,
actually what would happen to us.
Well, yeah, but when you're charged with executing the law, or upholding the law, there's a lot of gray. That's all I'm saying is it's not black and white,
I agree.
Yeah.
But it should be much easier to hold them accountable.
Well, sure. But I also don't think that's the most important thing. I agree with everything else, but I think a cop should be able to do the job and I don't think that was the problem.
So what
was
is
them getting
the most
charged.
important thing, Steve?
I think it's sensitivity to how everybody's feeling.
Oh,
is
Jesus
most
Christ.
important.
You don't even have an answer.
No, that's my answer. I think
Oh,
how people are
sensitivity.
feeling is the most important part of law and order.
I think that. So my
We
buddy,
need to give them all counseling lessons.
my buddy in Brooklyn was telling me that like, so they've repealed like, I think the bill is like 50A. I think is the one in New York. Maybe someone out there knows, but like basically like, where if like, the police conduct record is not public, right? But they repealed that, so now it's gonna like whatever they do will be made public. I think that's a huge step in the right
That's
direction.
a great idea.
And I think that like body cams, I would do those two things. And again, from what I understand, and again, I'm not a police officer, I don't know. Like things that I've been told is like the fact that in a lot of places, I was told by somebody who knows law enforcement that, you know, if you get an excessive force thing, you're on thin ice, or should be on thin ice. If you get two, you should be done. Like, and the fact that a lot of these people can just like hop, skip, jump to another precinct or go to another place, like that shouldn't be able to happen. Like, so like massage is I have licensure for massage, right? And so if I miss my CEUs, that's a public record. If I am in non-compliance with my continuing education, the public can see it. I have a license number. Like, that's how I think it should be with people in positions like that. Is like you should be able to see like, okay, they're not showed up. There's no disciplinary action. Like, you can look up, okay, like they're clean. You should be able to look up someone that's doing that kind of work where you're dealing with the public, and just be able to see like, you know, what they've done.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. So I'm pretty familiar with the trucking community, like CDL,
Yeah, you
semi
have
truck
license.
stuff.
Yeah.
And if you now, they just enacted this, if you test positive for a drug test anywhere in the country, now it's a federal database. You can't get hired anywhere, period. You're done.
Could you still go to glory holes?
Yes.
Perfect.
Can that
But I'm
Toyota,
saying, so-
can that
so
Toyota
now
Tercel
truckers-
get you there? Oh, thank God.
So a trucker who he could have gotten high in the privacy of his home, put nobody in danger, could have been on a week off. And
Even
In a
if it's
legal state.
Yeah.
in a legal state where it's completely legal, and now he can't get hired anywhere in the country for the rest of his life.
What about in CHAZ? Can he drive in CHAZ?
He can.
Definitely.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, it's a pretty
Thank
short.
goodness there's free.
It's hard to rack up the miles.
6 blocks, yeah.
Hard to rack up the
There's a lot
miles.
of loops.
Bringing in topsoil.
I want
soy
to run
products.
the
That man a
first.
scooter.
I want to run in the first marathon in CHAZ.
Yeah,
It's all the same scenery.
totally.
Right.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
But we're charging these police with keeping us all safe, and if they're going around beating people and getting a bunch of, excessive force deals against them,
Yeah.
there's no reason there shouldn't be a public federal record of all the things that these guys have done.
Well, I mean, yeah, if the people are white that they're hitting, yeah.
Lord.
Just kidding, everyone.
Hey, you guys, it's about time to wrap it up.
All right.
Now, I did have a question for John. So,
Yeah.
when you're massaging someone, how many times have you accidentally strangled someone?
Oh, I've come close several times.
Yeah, but like when you're
just-
massaging their trachea,
Yeah. I'm like when I do that. I was like, I could feel the murder, like just boiling up, like red rum,
getting your hand in
rum.
there,
Yeah, and just like up the neck, and just go.
push down that epiglottis.
But then I was like, I can't charge money if that happens. If they
Oh,
die.
Got it.
well, they might poop themselves on your table.
No, I'm not cleaning that up. I got paid enough for that.
So, does anybody want to plug anything before we get going?
Yeah. Can I plug some
I
stuff?
want to plug the hole in our democracy.
Woo! Yeah, the republic is crumbling.
Yeah.
No, so I have 2 podcasts that I do. One is massage related, called Massage Maniac. It's a new podcast. I only have like 9 episodes up, but it's blown up. Like I can't even explain it. I've done 0 advertising for it. Like people are listening to it. I tell crazy massage stories on there, riff about my life, and I always like finish up talking about a muscle. Like, and talking about the science behind it and like what it's, how to release, like muscle tissue, like in low back and so on and so
Nice.
forth. Yeah. And it's really simple. The episodes are like 40-ish minutes long. There's that podcast. I do another podcast. I'm the artistic operations director for a company called Recycled Minds. And so that podcast is called Actor's Worst Nightmare, which is actually the name of a very popular short form improv game on Improv Encyclopedia. And basically what we do is recreate deleted scenes from popular movies, popular books, fiction, self-help books, whatever. And so one person is essentially can only say things from the book or the script or whatever, and the other person's improvising. And they're super fun. Usually people will bring on books for me, so I can partake in the nightmare. But then
So
I
Harry Potter or
Yep. Harry Potter,
Lord of the Rings, or
Lord of the Rings, Twilight.
Well, I'm all broken up about that man's rights.
Yeah.
Dirty Harry Potter?
Yeah, exactly. But no,
that sounds like a porn.
both those podcasts are super fun, and I came up with them in quarantine, and like they're both doing pretty well. So definitely
Go check that
those
out, you guys.
Also on YouTube, you can find the hat that I'm wearing is Insert Foot Theater, and we're a virtual. We used to be a performing troupe, but we're a virtual improv troupe. Now we're 100% online, so we record audio, and Craig Roberts, one of the members, he animates the improv.
Oh, that's
puts it
really
together.
cool.
Yeah, so you can check that. You can find that on YouTube at Insert Foot Theater.
Awesome.
Sorry if I triggered anyone with the Dirty Harry clip.
You have offended me.
It's my Karen section.
It's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've got a law degree.
That's like 3 or 4 of them.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks.
Well, guys, check us out on Instagram, Twitter. You can find us at SenSockSteve.
We're on Patreon. Thank
We
you for
are
our
on
Patreon
Patreon.
subscribers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Please donate to that.
Yeah, and
Become a
please like,
subscriber.
share,
Yep.
subscribe, and download us on the internet, the podcast, so that we can, make that monies.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on, you guys.
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks for
it's
having
been a
me.
lot of fun. We'll have to do it
Super
again
fun.
soon.
For sure.
Loved it.
It's over, Johnny.
Yeah, I read a survey once that like 98% of people die.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Europe would be a fraction of the size that it is today, if not for incest.
It's over. Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
Content and stories and whimsy and a little love.
So they say the big one's coming. For California.
Rosie O'Donnell.
Was she a great big fat person?
That's right.
Have you ever seen how many clothespins you could get on your scrotum? You ever dabbled in the dark arts?
Guess what? I don't have to fuck the goats anymore.
It's actually quite a bit of fun.
Hashtag them too. I have no control over life.
If I had a keyboard, I'd be able to help you.
What dude hasn't tried to blow himself? 8 3/4 is totally fine.
They say that you can kill yourself.
Mark Hamill as a voice actor is absolutely phenomenal.
People get really, really hostile really, really quickly.
Rape and incest.
Oh, we started talking about crazy Joe Biden and they shut us down. I got the Ultra AIDS.
Nobody's got AIDS.
You're throwing off my game with your heartbeat and you're talking and you're breathing.
I have had to stop using my favorite poop phrase.
Why stop at 2 atomic bombs? Why don't we just do the whole thing?
Is this one of them left or right-handed coffins? Oh shit. Oh, that's a dick. Sorry, kids.
I'm airing my junk out and I'm looking bold. I've always been a fan of Evan Watson. After she turned 18.
After? That's where you and I are different, my friend.
I mean, I don't have a problem digging a hole and keeping an erection.
It's all about romance.
Texting, talking, touching.
Jumper cables and proper voltage, you could have dead baby movement.
Are you guys judgmental? Me? Not so much. Bunch of Judas Priest albums. Rob Halford's pretty badass.
Yeah, I like Judas Priest.
You know he's gay.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.